Island more than a decade ago, and I thought it was.
From Alex Jones and Bill Cooper to Edward Snowden, Terry Davies and Bob Marley, society's so-called conspiracy theorists have turned out to be right time and time again. Some of their stories became vindicated when the fool's story broke.
He was the guy who told me about Epstein's Island more than a decade ago, and I thought it was the craziest thing I'd ever heard.
But most never saw the light of day, because the search for truth has a habit of pushing people to the very edge like this.
Hello? So let it be right then. So let it be done.
Well, I'm King Terry, and learned how to purify myself in a horribly impure environment. It's pretty rough living homeless and
That's Terry Davis.
Once you get to that point, you too far gone in your spiritual psychosis. I went down the darkest rabbit holes and I came out. I'm built for this chaos. I learned all about all the darkness in the world. We gotta get in this bit. We in war. Oh, you chief and herb, you damaging your temple. Your temple gonna get damaged regardless, and it's gonna fucking desecrate to the back to the essence on earth regardless of what you do. To be honest. And I'm not saying that's a reason to be degenerate or no shit like that. But hey, man. It's a war realm, bro. It's peace when it's peace, but it's a war realm at the same time. It's a lot of different energies on the planet, bro. Gotta get through this bit. But one thing I ain't gonna do, I'm not gonna tap out the life game because of how fucked up these people is running on the realm.
Diagnosed schizophrenic and brilliant computer programmer who built an entire operating system by himself in a programming language he invented. And he said God told him to build a temple, so he called the operating system Temple OS. In his last years, he was mostly homeless, drifting across the American West, uploading chaotic videos from motel rooms and parking lots. Terry had spent years claiming that CIA agents were monitoring his computer and that they were everywhere online. He said they glow in the dark, a phrase that became the go-to slang for identifying federal agents in public spaces.
The CIA glow in the dark. You can see them if you're driving. You just run them over.
Then he was hit by a train in Oregon in 2018 at the age of 48. But his followers didn't accept that it was an accident. And now he's become synonymous with the conspiracy theorists that no one listened to. Because paranoia is a very effective tool for discrediting someone. If you're truthfully unwell, everyone eventually stops listening to you. But if you're not, it's a brilliant way to engineer that same outcome. Ernest Hemingway, one of the most celebrated writers in history, was played by this exact strategy. In his final years, he was telling his wife, friends, and doctors that the FBI was watching his every move. Of course, nobody believed him, and his own wife thought he'd lost his mind. He went through multiple rounds of electroshock therapy, which destroyed his memory and, by his own account, his ability to even write. So, he took matters into his own hands on July 2nd, 1961. Years later, a biographer filed a Freedom of Information Act request and found a large file signed off by J. Edgar Hoover himself.
I ain't gonna keep pausing it, but this is my theory. In these times, that's how they gonna try to get you. Like, they gonna try to get you to smoke yourself. Or to crash out through, like, nanotechnology type shit. Like, even this production of this type, like this rabbit hole of this information. We know the military started the internet, right? They didn't create the technology, but they started the internet. And if they control the internet since its inception, wouldn't it be, it's not far off to say that they put this shit, they put everything out. Like when you find these deep files and hackers be finding these files and all that stuff, they know this. They know this stuff can be accessed. Like, because I didn't realize there's people that really all they do is hack. Like there's people in the world that all they do is hack. Like they hack companies, they hack. Yeah, they do. It's people that scam. Like y'all know niggas that scam banks and scam stuff. But there's people that just, if y'all can help me find videos on this and react to something like this, I'm gonna look for a video like this. But it's people that literally just hack shit, bro. They could get the patent of how a Russian war tank is built. The real patent. They can get the patents of or they could get the documents of Operation Metro or some shit. Like, it's people that just do that, bro. Let's try to get leaked files all on the realm. Like, they play crazy on. They playing what's that game called? Watch Dogs in real life.
Self.
Oh, I found this the other day about Hemingway. Hemingway always thought that the FBI was trying to get him.
Put you in scenarios.
Apparently, they actually were.
Really?
That scenario shit is real.
The FBI investigated Ernest Hemingway for decades, with surveillance beginning in the 1940s due to concerns about his activities in Cuba and his associations with individuals suspected of communist ties. While initially dismissed as paranoia, it was later revealed that Hemingway's fears were grounded in reality, and the FBI did monitor him, even tapping his phones and intercepting his mail. The surveillance continued throughout his later years, including his time in the hospital, and may have contributed to his mental anguish and suicide.
So why did they do it? Well, first, he was spending a lot of time in communist Cuba.
Okay.
Second, look at his two most famous books, For Whom the Bell Tolls romanticized an American fighting alongside communists in Spain, while A Farewell to Arms is packed full of anti-war messaging. Massive influence combined with a message like this is not a good combo in the eyes of certain government agencies. Either way, the FBI had been watching him, but everyone
This shit is crazy how we just react to this shit now, bro. Like, it's just serious.
around him said he was just paranoid. Few know this feeling better than the most famous conspiracy theorist alive today.
When you've got the same FBI a couple of years ago with Jeffrey Epstein, with the Lolita Express, with Bill Clinton on at least 16 round-trip flights to the Pile Island, he got convicted of running.
Alex Jones was talking about Epstein long before the files became undeniable. He also called out numerous false flag military operations and repeatedly told everyone that they happened once so they will happen again.
The same ones that staged Gulf of Tonkin, the same ones that staged Operation, the mass shootings of Operation Gladio.
Right.
I can speak in this accent as well.
Yeah.
Governments have staged terror attacks throughout history or allowed terrorists to attack as a pretext to invade and enslave the populations.
And for years, Jones warned that the US government had built a mass surveillance system to spy on its own citizens. He filed 9/11 in the same category as other false flags, and he wasn't the only one who went there before it became fashionable to do so.
Right.
This is Bill Cooper, a former naval intelligence officer who spent the end of his days on a hilltop.
I fuck with William Cooper, bro. The main reason why I fuck with him because he used to shoot back at 12, bro. But he used to be bumping it out with these niggas in front of his house. Like, that's how he died. He died getting to bump out with like one of them CIA agents. Cause they'd be at his house. He like, bro, get from my house with that shit, bro. Cause he, you know, especially when they be in the army and they didn't serve too. Once they start getting violated by their government, they don't be giving a fuck. Damn, he passed in 2001. I didn't know that. Damn, in Arizona? Damn, Cooper. That's fucking hella shit that happen out here, bro. I gotta be careful in Arizona. Fuck. You blow, hey, you, bro. You know they got all type of Rothschilds that stay out here too. This ancient lands, Arizona is very ancient. But bro, this nigga William Cooper, bro, they have CIA agents and DEA agents outside his house. He'll walk up to the car with his gun, like, get the fuck out of here, nigga. Get out of here. Get away from my house and my family. I'm gonna have to defend myself, bruh. Oh, bro, he was bumping at them niggas, bro. You give a fuck. That's that late 80s shit, the 90s, no cameras. You just gotta survive. Like, if you exposing conspiracies, you gotta keep that bitch on you. But even if you keep that bitch on you, they could pull up 4 deep, hop out that van and grab you. Bro, this nigga was a gangster, bro.
In rural Arizona,
William was a gangster.
Broadcasting his rambling theories via a shortwave radio to anyone who tuned in. He was the author of the conspiracy manifesto Behold a Pale Horse. His ideas were the forerunners of some of the biggest conspiracy theories around today, like alien mythology, the Illuminati, and the mysteries surrounding JFK. Cooper was warning his followers that a major terrorist attack was coming on American soil, and that the government would use a man called Osama bin Laden as the scapegoat. He had watched the now infamous CNN interview with bin Laden in his hideout and couldn't believe what he was seeing. And you've got to pause on this particular point because it is utterly bizarre, and a lot of people have just completely forgotten about it.
Yeah, I didn't know.
In 1997, CNN journalist Peter Arnett went to Afghanistan and interviewed Osama bin Laden on camera. Bin Laden then used the interview to basically declare war on America on television and broadcast this to the world.
You have declared a jihad against the United States. Can you tell us why?
The comments on the original broadcast say what everyone's thinking, like,
World
USA,
stage.
how'd you find him? Reporter, snitches get stitches. And CIA, FBI, and Interpol were searching for him like crazy at the time, and this reporter...
Really? The whole CIA, FBI, you just the most wanted dude. You Allah Akbar. You Allah Akbar out. In 1997. But when a reporter comes to interview you, that's just a random reporter and he didn't drop the location and he's not a CIA asset. I heard Bin Laden worked with the government. Makes sense. Hegel and dialect, we gotta give you the enemy, and we gotta. All right, when y'all see, when it's gonna be people exposing it's already people that's exposing what's going on now with the wars that's happening now, but it's a world stage. But just because it's a world stage, it's like, okay, Alex Jones said the stuff about Sandy Hook, and that's how they got him, right? But I really, in my opinion, I think it was took out of context. It's a real situation, but this shit is still being choreographed. Like you said, it's scenarios. It's being like, it's scenarios. They create the scenarios, bro. We got 10 of us up in here, man. 8 of us. Hit that like up in here, man. Hit the hype button if I got it.
Just found him that easy. The point being, either every intelligence agency in America is incompetent, or they knew exactly where he was and weren't pulling out all the stops to catch him. The intelligence community's argument is that knowing roughly where someone is in a lawless tribal region of Afghanistan, and then being able to capture or kill them are two completely different things.
Okay.
The US had no troops on the ground in Afghanistan at this point, but the counterpoint still stands, and Cooper argued that Bin Laden was already a CIA creation, funded and trained during the Soviet-Afghan War in the 1980s. CNN were merely maneuvering him into a position to justify future military operations and give people a face and name to pin those future headlines to. Then, on June 28, 2001, less than 3 months before 9/11, Cooper would say this on air.
And whatever is going to happen that they're going to blame on Osama bin Laden, don't you even believe it.
9/11 then happens, and on November 5th, 2 months after the attacks, he was shot dead by Apache County Sheriff's deputies outside his home. Deputies said they'd come to serve an arrest warrant for tax evasion charges he'd been dodging since 1998. But they did arrive at 11:40 at night, while also using plainclothes officers to bait him out of his house, and then that was the end of his story. Now, whatever you think about the event of 9/11...
I'm telling you, bro, that's a scenario. They already knew how he was gonna react. Y'all pulling up at night to serve some warrant papers. You know he not finna... You already know William on edge, Bill on edge, bro. They know he was gonna come out tripping. You know it's crazy. I'll be delivering in them areas, them outskirts of AZ and all that. I wouldn't want to live out there. Keep me in the city next to people. I like it out there. It's peaceful, but like I can just only imagine. Like I feel like you straight now with the flock cameras and the cameras and stuff, but like I can only imagine you out there at night in the 90s or something. And you black? Oh yeah, they coming to get you. You can sacrifice your ass. I heard in the 90s in Arizona they used to do shit like they used to bother black people and stuff. But they used to do that everywhere, anywhere where it was outnumbered amount of. Anyway though. But yeah, that's crazy. So they pulled up at night, knowing he gonna pull up like, who was them people outside my house in plain clothes? Damn. It's tough.
In itself, it definitely was an inflection point for a new wave of conspiracy theories,
Hit that
some
like.
of which came true pretty quickly, because a couple of years later, Edward Snowden walked out of a facility in Hawaii with tens of thousands of classified documents and pulled the pin on the biggest leak in a generation.
And this became a mass surveillance program called Stellar Wind, which they said was supposed to monitor the phone calls and internet communications, emails, and things like that of everybody in the United States and around the world.
He documented backdoors in Google, Apple, Facebook, and Microsoft. Virtually every big tech company was compromised and cataloging your data while censoring information at the government's request, which turned out even worse when the Twitter files leaked a few years later. And all of that time, the Director of National Intelligence had lied through his teeth under oath to Congress.
But what does it mean for a democracy when you can lie under oath to Congress, and the congressman even knows you're lying to them, but they're afraid to correct you?
But what most people don't know is that this started years earlier with a guy named William Binney, one of the agency's best codebreakers. William had designed a surveillance system called ThinThread that could collect intelligence and still at least attempt to maintain privacy, but after 9/11, the NSA scrapped it, killed the legal safeguards, and used its own work to spy on the entire country without telling anyone.
After 9/11, they took one of the programs I had done, or the back-end part of it, and started to use it to spy on everybody in this country.
When he tried to blow the whistle through proper channels, the FBI showed up at his house with guns drawn while he was getting out of the shower.
And they came in and pointed a gun at me when I was getting out of the shower at the time, so they pointed a gun right at my old head, said, hey. I wasn't too upset. I just said, yeah, suppose I could get dressed here. This is something the KGB, the Stasi, or the Gestapo would have loved to have had about their populations. And just because we call ourselves a democracy doesn't mean we will stay that way.
Snowden himself said that William was a part of a group of early NSA whistleblowers who tried to expose similar programs before he did, and each one got destroyed for doing so. One of them, a senior NSA executive called Thomas Drake, found that the NSA was spending billions on surveillance programs that—
I think it look like he look like a gray, bro. He got a gray head. I think he got a Zeta reticuli head, nigga. You got an alien head out there. Little gray alien being head out there.
were both illegal and
cone head being.
After he reported it internally and nothing happened, he decided to take his story to the Baltimore Sun. He was then immediately apprehended and charged under the Espionage Act, facing 35 years in prison, though the charges were dropped before the trial.
He tried to turn
Bill
the paper in
is part of, shall we say, the group of early NSA whistleblowers who came with Thomas Drake, Bill Binney, Kirk Wiebe, I believe, and Ed Loomis. And these guys all got their doors kicked in, they got harassed.
But it's not just serious intelligence guys and journalists who get caught up in these kinds of controversies. Bob Marley's music tells you a lot about what he thought of power and the government. His entire worldview was built on the idea that the systems running the world were corrupt, exploitative, and fundamentally designed to keep ordinary people down. You could even say he inspired an entire generation of conspiracy theorists. Listen to Alex Jones talk about him on InfoWars.
I was listening to Bob Marley again the other day. I was on a Bob Marley jag, and I'm like, this guy was Alex Jones before I was born. It's a powerful song. He goes in to talk about the technocracy and the scientific elite wanting to kill humanity and destroy our children. Every song's poetry. We're the survivors.
You've probably heard of the Rastafarian word Babylon. In Rastafari, Babylon envelops the police, the government, the colonial system, basically the entire Western power.
Babylon system is the vampire. Fallen empire.
A system that keeps ordinary people at the bottom. Bob was preaching to millions that this system was their enemy. Then, just as his career was reaching its peak, this happened.
Entertainer and reggae star Bob Marley, Rita Marley, and the manager of the Wailers, Don Taylor, are now patients in the University Hospital after receiving gunshot wounds during a shooting incident which took place at Marley's home at 56 Hope Road tonight.
Bob then left Jamaica the next morning and didn't return for months. Jamaica's government had been moving towards socialism, which the US saw as a major threat, and he believed he'd been targeted as a result. It was a classic CIA-backed coup, as the island was now being flooded with cheap guns, drugs, propaganda, and brutal policing tactics.
And the sad thing is, they probably paid a nigga down the street to do that shit. I guarantee they probably paid a nigga who grew up with him to do that shit. Give you 15,000 each USD. 15,000 USD. I'll go kill the blood clot right now. I'll kill the blood clot right now. Only kill the motherfucker.
According to documents in the CIA archive that you can see here, the Washington-backed campaign left over 750 people dead, and Edward Seeger, the US-backed candidate, won the election. Declassified files have since confirmed that Marley had his own CIA file and was labeled a subversive.
Do you think Bob Marley was dangerous?
Yes.
He was very dangerous on all sorts of levels. He was dangerous in a very basic way. The idea in 1976 that you would get poor Jamaicans to start thinking for themselves in itself was dangerous. And the idea that this guy with this, uncombed hair, speaking terribly, becoming this voice of freedom and black struggle.
Bob Marley's manager, who took most of the bullets that night of the shooting, wrote in his memoir that he believed the CIA was behind it. It's now thought they might have paid for it with drugs and guns. Bob Marley then dies of cancer at age 36, long before any of the CIA files.
That's how they do. That's how they do. They gonna come in plain clothes, disguised. Hey, go take this hit on Bob. You thinking it's just oh yeah, bro. That's why I be like, that's when people say the CIA killed Nipsey, they like, oh no, that was some hood shit. You acting like CIA ain't infiltrated in gangs. You acting like they don't run that shit. That's how you know a nigga trying to gaslight you, bro. And I understood that when I was 22 years old. And it be a nigga 40 years old talking about, oh, y'all just, yeah, like, what? You telling me you 40, you a black man and you 40 in America. I don't care. You a man and you 40 in America. And you think that they don't try to stop people? Like, they don't try to, what do you pay attention to? What have you experienced? Like, what industry have you tried to get in? Just me even seeing a little bit how like the entertainment business is, or when I used to try to rap, like everything gatekeep, bro. You try to get in corporate America right now, gatekeep. At the door is gatekeep. You try to get in a manager position, nigga, biting your head off for manager positions. So imagine you got influence and power and all this shit. What? Niggas will snake you out on your job, get you fired. That's just that petty work shit. So imagine that at a higher level, bro. Like,
were declassified. He never got to see the proof that the world he'd been warning people about was real. And the era he represented, where a musician could threaten the establishment by telling people to think for themselves, died with him.
Exactly.
But controlling entire governments is somehow pretty mainstream compared to what others have exposed. This is Ted Gunderson, who once ran the FBI's Los Angeles field office. A serious guy with deep agency experience and knowledge. When he retired, he spent decades on the lecture circuit warning everyone about government mind control programs, blackmail operations, and potential ritual-style abuse.
A long time ago, I talked about how they have these islands, they fly, they compromise children. But I learned all this from Ted Gunderson 20 plus years ago. He was in line to be the FBI director. He was the head of the FBI in Los Angeles.
Jeffrey's operation might feel new, but Gunderson tells you that it's probably just the latest installment of a strategy running for over 50 years.
He came out and he was the one that...
50. Since the beginning of the invasion, probably this shit probably been going on for 5,000 years, man.
It explained to me about how they use these blackmail rings, elements of the CIA, and foreign intelligence groups, and how they would basically make people have sex with children to be part of these clubs and these cults they were setting up.
Gunderson also linked these kinds of operations with possible satanic ritual abuse. But in the late 80s and 90s, this was lumped in with the satanic panic and treated as mass hysteria. That's a big reason why he lost his credibility.
I'm not an anti-government person, I'm an anti-corruption.
As soon as niggas start waking up, oh no, that's satanic panic. Come on, bro. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Nigga, we on y'all. Niggas is figuring this shit out.
And I will continue as long as I'm alive to
that's some bullshit.
To expose this evil element that's permeated throughout our society.
Like all the others, they called him paranoid and delusional. He was labeled a crackpot, desperate for attention. But lo and behold, down the line, many of the things Gunderson warned about were indeed proved true. One of the creepiest concerned a religious cult called the Finders, a Washington DC based cult he described as a CIA child kidnapping organization. In 1987, police in Tallahassee, Florida found 6 children in a park filthy, covered in bug bites, accompanied by 2 well-dressed men who couldn't explain who these children belonged to. The trail then led to a property owned by the cult, where a US customs officer found computer equipment and documents containing instructions for obtaining children, including purchasing them, trading them, and kidnapping them. The investigation was then hastily shut down.
No, the Finders is a cult that was caught trafficking children, and the CIA squashed the Florida. And then Gunderson got it raided in D.C. and found a whole CIA facility with the snuff films, everything.
Telex machine.
And so he told me about all this, and I thought he was crazy.
Anyone who repeated Gunderson's claims were immediately dismissed. That wasn't until 2019 when the FBI declassified 650 pages confirming that the CIA had been...
Just 40 years later. Just 40 years later. He probably been dead. Shit's bullshit, man.
Involved in the investigation, and that the State Department had mysteriously helped bury it, and that a former member of the group had admitted to doing security work for the FBI, NSA, and other government agencies. And the founding leader's wife had been a CIA employee for 21 years, and it was classed as an internal matter for the agency. It literally took over 30 years for Gunderson to be proved right in his belief that intelligence agencies were in the loop and buried the case. We don't know why, but he always alleged a link to other ritualistic practices across America, including Bohemian Grove, and some of his early ideas are now creepier than ever in light of what they found on Mr. Jeffrey's private island.
These sell for like $100,000, private collections. The kids are sold for $50,000 on an auction block.
Jesus
Paul has attended 6 auctions, as few as 6 and as many as 36 kids, boys and girls, mostly young kids, were auctioned off for up to $50,000 each. It's big business.
While no agency linked to the extent alleged by Gunderson or Alex Jones has been formally established, nobody was convicted of a crime in relation to what the police found that day.
Where? If you got a God that's sitting over the planet, right, and he can see everything of what's happening, that's why I say if we in the stars, ain't that hell down below, right? We basically in hell already. Like, how worse can it get after this? We can't see it on a day-to-day, but imagine you looking at Earth from like above Earth, and you just see all this shit happening. You can't stop nothing. I don't get that part. Earth be confusing the fuck out me sometimes. Cause it's like this shit happening 24/7. Like imagine like you running a Sims, like a Sims, a Earth Sims, and you got all this trafficking and all this shit going on, like just a corrupted ass Earth. Yo, so you open the Sims game, like let's just say I'm like, hey, look at my Sims world, y'all, and I show you you know what the fuck wrong with you? This nigga is crazy. You got people working jobs, people getting extorted. You done created traffic. You done did all this. You created... Y'all see my analogy, what I'm getting at?
Ted also often talked about MKUltra, which was declassified in his era, but he always claimed it was wildly misunderstood in how far it went. The goal was to hijack the brain, altering or erasing memories or creating assassins you'd kill on command with no memory of being programmed. It started with CIA employees, but that quickly backfired, so they had to start testing on the public instead. And to do that, they came up with something called Operation Midnight Climax.
So they went to San Francisco, they rented a safe house, and they hired prostitutes to go out on the street, pick up Johns, bring them back to the safe house, dose the Johns with LSD, and just see what happens.
While these guys were losing their minds, CIA operatives sat behind one-way mirrors watching the whole thing while sipping a whiskey and smoking a cigarette.
Where this went off the rails, in a handful of ways, in many ways, was testing on unwitting subjects. Things such as LSD and a variety of other substances. Yeah, whoops.
This was back when people were naive about drugs, so just imagine for a second that you begin to hallucinate wildly and you have absolutely no explanation for what's happening to you. One of the main guys caught up in MKUltra was an army biochemist called Frank Olson. He was working on classified research when they slipped LSD into his drink at a work retreat without telling him. 9 days later, he throws himself through the window of a hotel room in New York. The CIA told his family he'd had a breakdown, but his son Eric believed his father had witnessed something he wasn't supposed to see, possibly the use of bioweapons on prisoners. Eric had his father's body dug up, and the autopsy found blunt force trauma to the skull. The Manhattan DA reclassified the death from to homicide. That story was then later made into the Netflix show Wormwood.
I was told that your father has had an accident.
When Congress finally started asking questions in 1973,
Damn,
the CIA...
I wouldn't even know that that's the show Wormwood. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't even be able to connect that shit. So basically, I might have to get Netflix back, but when you see movies, every movie is really a script, bro. Every movie is a script of something that happened. Every single movie you ever seen is a script of something that fucking happened, bro. There is no such thing as fantasy. It's either exaggerated or it's altered, but it's a fucking real script. They're not gonna fucking show nothing that's fake. Let's really think about this shit. You think it's fake because your reality is, you got the fake ass reality. They know this shit real. That's why people gravitate to certain movies. You can't make this shit up. Even if you dream about it, it's real. It's just on a different realm. You take LSD, you take shrooms, all that shit you seeing is here right now. I'm dense as fuck. I ain't took shrooms in 8 years. I only took them one time. But I remember I took shrooms. That feeling of like, you know how you feel dense? Even when you smoke, if you smoke, drink, you still gonna be dense. It's a different feeling, y'all. So it's like you come out your body.
CIA director ordered that the MKUltra files should be destroyed.
In 1973, the CIA director ordered mass destruction of the MKUltra files. What we know comes from accidentally surviving documents, meaning this is a sanitized version.
Burning the files is one way to bury the truth, but there's another pattern of scrubbing the evidence here that speaks for itself, and you're probably starting to notice it by now. This is Gary Webb, a journalist who proved the CIA had knowingly allowed drug traffickers to funnel crack into black communities in LA throughout the 80s. 3 of the biggest newspapers in America coordinated to discredit him. His own editors abandoned him, and he lost everything. Then he was found dead in 2004 with 2 gunshot wounds to the head, ruled self-inflicted. The CIA's own Inspector General later confirmed he'd been right all along. Then there's Frank Serpico, a New York cop who spent years trying to report corruption inside the NYPD. Nobody wanted to hear it, and during a drug raid in Brooklyn, his fellow officers let him walk in alone and he took a bullet to the face. They then made a film about it with Al Pacino called Serpico, but the department never apologized. And then there's David Kelly, who was one of—
How did he know that movie? You see what I'm saying? What the fuck? It's a movie for it. This shit crazy, bro. This shit is crazy, bro.
The UK's top weapons experts, who told a BBC journalist that the British government had hyped up its case for invading Iraq. He was then outed, dragged before Parliament, and then found dead in the woods near his home.
It's a movie
Again
too,
ruled
right?
self-inflicted. Years later, a public inquiry confirmed everything he'd said, and a panel of doctors and scientists doubted the official cause of death. And that pattern of convenient fatalities continues to the present day. In 2024, a quality manager at Boeing called Josh Barnett had been raising concerns for years about safety shortcuts on the 737 MAX production line. He was then found—
Oh my god, the CIA is the real slime balls, bro. They are really slime you, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Any nigga thinking he on some slime shit, backdoor, oh, set to play, janky. Bro, I'm a slime ball. I'm a slime ball. I ain't gonna lie, like them letter boys are the original real slithers. They're real slithers, like, oh my goodness. Them niggas will kill you, say you killed yourself, then make a movie on you. And then in the movie, have you looking like it's your fault or you went crazy. Then if somebody else be like, hey, bro, I don't think that's what happened, they just gonna slap you too. But now it's at the point to where they like, hey, all that shit that we used to do, we on some different shit now. So go ahead, you can talk about it now. You can talk now. I want y'all to make videos about what we did. I want y'all to promote our work. Now it's they at the point to where they just like, yep. Yeah. Y'all want to leak everything we used to do? We allowing this. They allow these videos to be made. You think we learning something that You think we learning something about watching this? Even him putting this video together. You think they care about Moon? They don't care about Moon. Moon is probably a CIA agent. Because I just found his page today. Shout out to Moon. His videos are amazing. I gotta watch every video on his page now. This should have you informed like a bit. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't know he had 1.7 million followers. I didn't know that.
Dead in his car in the midst of his whistleblower lawsuit against the company. And again, it was of course ruled self-inflicted.
That was weird.
But there is one story buried in all of this that probably affects you right now, and not in a historical or political sense. If you're one of 98% of Americans, there's a cancer-causing chemical coursing through your veins and arteries right now. And the guy who warned us about it was yet again dismissed as a delusional conspiracy theorist. He is Robert Billett, a corporate defense lawyer in Cincinnati whose entire career was spent representing chemical companies. So he was about the last person you'd expect to take on one of the most notorious in history. In 1998, a farmer approached him to say his cattle were dying, foaming at the mouth with their teeth turning black and tumors growing out of their sides.
Whoa.
He'd filmed this all on a home video camera, and the footage is genuinely horrible, with cows stumbling around and collapsing by a creek that runs downstream from a DuPont landfill. He'd already tried local regulators, state agencies, and every lawyer in the region, but nobody would touch it because in that part of West Virginia, the company he suspected of being behind it, called DuPont, was one that you didn't want to mess with. What Robert found when he started pulling at the thread would consume the next 25 years of his life.
That makes, okay, wow. So his cattle on his farm start popping up dead. He like, yo, this company killing my animals. Tried to sue him. They like, don't fuck with those guys. Who was those guys?
He requested internal documents from DuPont that pointed to a chemical called PFOA, also known as C8, which was used in manufacturing Teflon, the non-stick coating on your pans, your waterproof jackets, your microwave popcorn bags, basically everyday products in every household in the country. DuPont had then been dumping this into the local water supply, and their own internal studies showed they knew exactly the damage it was capable of inflicting. They'd found elevated cancer rates in their own factory workers. They tested the blood of pregnant employees and found the chemical in their unborn children. They knew it accumulated in human tissue, and they knew it didn't break down ever. This is Robert speaking out about it himself.
We're talking about chemical contamination that goes far beyond, far beyond one farmer's property in West Virginia. We're talking about contamination now that's in drinking water all across this country and now all across the world.
Today, the term forever chemicals that you're probably familiar with is basically all because of his work.
Wow. We are now bringing a new case where we're seeking to represent everyone in the country who now has these chemicals in their blood. But what we now know is PFOA is just one of many of these man-made synthetic chemicals that are getting out in our water, in our blood.
As Robert says, it doesn't even stop there because these chemicals have been leached across the US.
Just outside of Bangor, Maine is Herman High School. Some 500 kids come here each day to learn, but they can't drink the water.
We're alleging that 3M and DuPont created these chemicals, had the science that showed just how dangerous they were, how toxic they were, how they were going to last forever.
Seeing correlations with thyroid disease, certain kinds of cancer, kidney disease, liver dysfunction. They're called forever chemicals because they stay in your body.
They're in the tap water, they're in the rain, they're in the food supply. They've even reached the Arctic and other countries. So this disaster is not only contained to the US. DuPont settled the initial lawsuits for $670 million, and the litigation is still ongoing. The story was eventually made into
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Oh, I got a fucking movie too. Yeah, I'm done, bro. I'm done. I can't do this shit no more. Of course this shit got a movie, but bro, the fact that like I wash and cook my vegetables with tap water, I still don't got a filter on my shower, like, cause it's subconscious. I feel like even if I get that shit, it's not gonna make a difference, but it probably is, bro. Like I still don't got the blue light blocker. Like I was supposed to been order a radiation blocker. I was supposed to been get a sound bowl. I was supposed to get shit, but I'd be too like, I don't need that shit, you know. Like I'll put my feet on the outside and dirt, work out and sweat. I'd be cheap, but I need to start buying stuff that I actually need. I need to start buying things. Like I'm 25 now. It's because I feel like it's because I'm 25 too. But like I'm like, bro, I need to actually start buying shit that I actually need. A water filter, actually a shit that you need. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying though? Like, I ain't been spending my money on bullshit or nothing, but like, it's like I won't spend the money on stuff that I need. Until I actually need it for real, for real.
Hollywood film Dark Waters in 2019, starring Mark Ruffalo as Robert, and a documentary The Devil We Know, which followed the families in West Virginia.
Bro, hit that like, please, y'all. It's 13 of us in here, and it only got 7 likes.
Whose water had been poisoned, but no one listened until the damage was done, and that's the way it goes time after time after time. They get called crazy, they lose their career, their family, all their life, and then years later, a document surfaces, a court makes a ruling, or a journalist finally gets hold of the file, and the lie is suddenly the truth. Maybe this is you. Maybe you've had a feeling about something that didn't add up and kept it to yourself because you didn't want to sound like one of those people. Whether it be about major wars, intelligence agencies, or even things like COVID, you've probably at least once felt like something was truly off with the official narrative. And so really, this video should show that the line between being right and being crazy has never been as clear as we pretend it is. The people who feature in this still barely scratch the surface, and the worst bit is how everyone eventually forgets and moves on, and how the bar for what shocks society keeps getting